This is Xolweni and how I found it. It is an unoccupiable place, not fit for human beings to live in. Families were living here. The shacks are on top of each other, but people had no choice. They had to live here. I had made time to visit the homes. I had made time to have many conversations with the occupants of Xolweni. I had an idea of their aspirations and where they're hoping to go. And there was just no means of moving. So I had an idea what was necessary. I had shared those ideas with the town planner, who then went to different municipalities in the surrounding towns to get all the interleading this and that I don't understand. But he made a beautiful, safe plan to convert this informal settlement into a smart city as the first one of the 7. The community leaders knew what I was trying to do, and when there were unbearable situations, they would come to my house and say, hey, we know we can't rush you whilst doing your work, but we have a grandfather who is unable to do anything. He is wheelchair bound. His wheelchair does not even work. He lives in a shack that will fall apart any minute. It is leaking, it doesn't have a door, and it needs your urgent attention. So you go and you find a structure like this. You don't know how people live here. So in instances like this, I wouldn't wait for the project. I would then make a temporary but solid home for the old people that lived in there, move them, buy him a wheelchair, make sure they have food, and then move on. But there were many instances like that. I don't even have to say the examples here. You get the picture. So what we did is, I'm going to load a diagram now, which was, because I can't load the full big plans, so I'll load the initial diagrams. What we did, after understanding everybody's situation within the informal settlement, we tried to put together the families that were split because of size or whatever. Like if there's 3-4 shacks that belong to the same family, we would then regroup the family into one home. But if there were 2 cousins that lived together, we would leave them living together and maybe make a smaller apartment for them. So we tried to mix and match the apartments according to the family situations that existed in Xolweni. So here's an example where we designed 4 different kinds of homes to suit every person that we interviewed within the informal settlement. So in total, we were going to build 1,330 divisible, according to the numbers written here. But we had 165 single units where it's just a bachelor flat and it's either 1 or 2 people live there. And then we've got a 1-bedroom, we had 2 bedrooms, we had 3 bedrooms, and we had 4 bedrooms. So we mixed the houses accordingly to be able to put families together. So we came up with 1,330 units. And over and above that, we then created workspaces for them. We created services within the smart city for them to be able to have their own township economy without relying on outside people. So now I'm going to show you diagrams of things that we created for them to be able to sustain themselves as a smart city. We had a sports complex here. People need recreation. But if you look right behind the sports complex, it's my biggest interest, the junior school. So there's many children here. One thing I didn't mention is that Xolweni had 7,200 and something inhabitants, but let's call it 7,200. Of the 7,200 inhabitants, 40% were children under 4 years old. For me, this was an urgent need to try and protect their brains. So the junior school, and if you see to the left, I have a crèche. Those were the two most important structures of this smart city. So we designed that, where whilst they were separate, we were going to do programs where they grow from one kindergarten, then go to the junior school. So we had created that. Another thing we created was a library for the elderly, not elderly, but I mean the older occupants of the informal settlement. And we had a technical school where we were taking all the, because this didn't have very young people. It's either they were very young children and then 20-year-olds and above. So you didn't have teenagers. You had very few of those within this informal settlement. So the older people who are in their 20s or 30s, who never got a chance to finish their matric, who never got a chance to go to college, we created a technical college where we were going to train them in the same situation that we do, 3 days school, 3 days work. And then we had parks behind the informal settlement. There was a lot of land where we were going to plant food for the informal settlement. Then we had a business center here. Because there was a lot of building to do, we were going to build a center where we keep our material, our building materials and things. And then opposite it was a small shopping center with shops and, to buy clothes, to buy food. But all of this was going to be owned by the inhabitants of Xolweni. In front of it is a Tusong Center, which is a municipal hub, so that they don't have to go to town to apply for IDs or apply for driver's license or pay their electricity. So it's municipal services under one roof where they can go and apply for any of the services they need. So what we tried to do was to put everything together so that the people who live here are self-sufficient and don't need to go outside for other help.